Let's always drink the good stuff.
It's about food, art, travel, music, culture, lifestyle. It's interesting conversations with interesting people. And yes, sometimes it's even about drinking the good stuff. We are really excited today to have with us Vahagn from Armenia. Vahagn is, well, I'm going to let you, Vahagn, tell us about yourself, please.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thank you for having me here. I'm really pleased to be here, Stepan. You know how we evaluate your work, which you are doing in US, and promoting like the world about Armenian wine. So about me, I'm actually all my life I do mainly finance and social impact. Currently, I'm mostly involved in the social impact investment, and also the wine is our family business. And why I'm doing that? Because it's kind of every wine is a story. Our wine is a love story. I can say so. So first I fall in love with Zara, and then fall in love with wine and winemaking.
Well, she had a positive influence on you then.
Sure. Positive, emotional, all kind of influence, right?
Well, that's exactly right. We met a long time ago, and we've seen each other a few times in Europe or in Armenia. I'm so happy that you're here because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, Zara Muradyan is your wife.
Yes.
It's one of the good things you've done in your life, right?
The other good thing is our daughter. Actually, she's with me here.
Oh, even wonderful. Oh, that's good to know. I didn't know that.
The best creation we did together.
Wow. God bless you all.
Thank you. God bless all kids.
You are in United States right now because certain things have happened. But I like to say that Zara is a fantastic winemaker. And we're happy to import a couple of her reserve level wines, which are spectacular. And those two spectacular Zara Muradyan wines, the Armenian Reserve and the Voskanyan Reserve, have won a lot of international accolades and awards and points, including, go on please.
Yeah, actually we've got 93 for our reserve red from James Suckling.
Yes.
So you know he's a famous wine expert in the world, and 92 from our white. And because we got points over the 90, we are invited to the New York event, which happened like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And we are proud to represent Armenia within like 400 other producers from other 55 regions. And hopefully, year by year, more and more producers will have this chance to represent Armenia and Armenian winemaking, Armenian culture and heritage during such high-scale events.
That's one of the things I want to talk to you about. How did it feel when you got, it's good to get you guys have also won a lot of European accolades, European awards, but when you are in the U.S. market, U.S. publications, U.S. personalities, when they give high award wines to Armenian or foreign wine, that validates the wines. Tell us, how did you feel about that?
So actually, we, as I said, we're very proud and feel us very responsible for that because first of all, you are representing a country, our culture, our traditions, and our heritage, and you should keep everything at this highest level and highest level of your possibility. We're very surprised. I can say what people are very surprised with the quality of the wine, and some of them, thanks God, they heard about the Armenian winemaking, but they had a chance to test it and to share their experience. And I can say what is almost similar as we feel during our similar events in Europe or even in Armenia when we serve wines to foreigners. So we see what there is a big potential here, and people love our wine, and we are kind of at the same level of quality, and we can really penetrate this market and also spread the word about Armenia.
Wow. You said a lot there. Let's break it down.
Yeah.
You were pouring these two wines in New York during the James Suckling wine event. What were the people's reaction to the wines? How they feel more specifically? Was it a hard sell for them to come and taste your wine, or they were happy to taste your wine, or they became happier when they taste your wines?
So actually, if I may compare with people visiting Armenia, So they are not expecting. Sometimes they hear about Armenia, they are not expecting, and then you don't expect. You see the quality, you are surprised. And some people are just do rounds, bring other people, friends, experts, winemakers, sommeliers, in order to show what we found, this kind of quality of why we found this country as a winemaking country. So this is the first impression. The second, people are coming with clear agenda. They found Armenia in the list of other producers, and they come to test the wine. And some of them, they have some experience testing Armenian wine. And thanks God, some of producers are goodly represented in this country. So it's a mixture of people which are surprised, which expect something, and which want to expand their knowledge about Armenian winemaking. They want to test more. They want to see more producers, to to go deeper and to see the layers and deepness of Armenian wine quality. So this is a kind of a mixture of all this kind of people visiting the booth.
And overall, what kind of response did you get from as they're tasting the wines? I'm sure they had a lot of questions.
Yeah, positive, very positive. They are very much interesting, and it's kind of they're exploring a new location. Sometimes where some of them they have Armenian friends, and those Armenian friends they actually build a positive path towards Armenian products, including winemaking. So most of them they are very they start speaking Armenian friends, relatives, neighbors. Their eyes start shining, and you see what there is a positive background to start talking about the Armenian winemaking, etc. So if I answer your question, because it's very emotional for me being there, so the overall expression is very positive, and they love to explore more. And they will, most of them, they will lose any opportunity to come and see Armenia, to see our wineries, to see our vineyards, because we are proud to have autochthon and endemic varieties, Armenian varieties, and we have a lot to do to spread the word about that more and more as much as we can.
And what was most surprising to you in the whole experience in New York with the tasting event?
So it's similar because we just fly from the wine days. Yes. Yerevan wine days, just pack my luggage in the night and fly, because it's very busy 3 days,
Correct.
And we are enjoying, of course, it's hard to serve so much people, but you are enjoying conversations, you see the feedback, and you hear the opinions about your wine, and you are in the middle of all this gathering and this nice event done by our friends, Nuna and Mary, and of course it's a global thing happening in Armenia. And when you come to New York, you see kind of the same people interested, wine lovers, and all of them are the same actually, right? So then some
of them drink more expensive wine than others.
Yeah, that's the main difference. But actually, all of them are looking for quality. All of them are looking for stories. All of them are looking for history, and the kind of the algorithm of pitching the thing is the same. So if it's a foreigner, you start with 6,100 years old wine cave, about our varieties, about history, about the ancient period and the Soviet period, post-Soviet period, current days, and everyone is really want to hear those stories. Those storytellings are really very important. So we need to spend more collective efforts on those stories to tell about our winemaking.
It's truly a proud moment for Zara Muradyan Wines to be among so many great internationally renowned wineries, wine brands to be poured in New York. And I want to congratulate Zara. I want to congratulate you for such a momentous achievement. And that's wonderful, and that's what we do here. We tell the story of Armenian wines, whether it's your wines or other. But I mean, the challenge, as far as I can see, for Armenian wines is not the quality of the wines. We have fantastic quality wines, but the challenge is telling the story of these wines to more and more and more people, so that when they think about a red wine, let's say, okay, let's have an Armenian. Or if want to have a white wine, let's have a Voskehad or Khatuni or whatever the case may be. That's the challenge. Which brings me to my next segment I want to talk to you about. Besides being a wonderful winemaker, too bad she's not here. I would have asked, loved to ask her these questions. Well, but
she should be there.
We got the next best person here. Besides being a wonderful winemaker, she's also the head of the Vine and Wine Foundation. Correct?
Yeah, correct.
Tell us about the foundation.
So actually, if we start with the story, so
Yes.
we know each other like from 2000s, and she started this with education in Armenia and then in California State University Fresno, Viticulture Enology Center. And based on her experience, she decided to open a wine academy in Armenia with partners. And then she was invited to lead the foundation. But we started the winemaking business in 2012. And currently, because she's very busy with these public things, we take care about business together with my daughter. And she's mostly busy, like maybe 98% with the foundation, and trying to really do some global major things and try to promote Armenian winemaking in Armenia and outside of Armenia. So, and but the last thing she did with her team, the next Mondial event will happen in Armenia.
Well, that's fantastic. It's a great accomplishment.
Yeah. So,
and I want to congratulate you. Yeah. And I think
me as a small wine producer, among others.
Well, everything is incremental. Things takes time over time, but it's the small victories you gotta take care of. Also, you gotta savor as well because they lead to bigger victories, and that's wonderful. But specifically, can you tell us what does the foundation do? In more detail, please.
Yeah, maybe I'm not the person in charge because it's kind of...
you must have picked up some things through osmosis.
So what I love mostly, what the foundation create a base for like developing of Armenian winemaking. What I mean, for example, there is a so-called cadastre of wineries. So if you want to track from grape to the wine, and you want to control to be sure what this RNE is from Baghdassarian, this RNE is from RNE, and we have only X hectare of wineries there, which make the price and the wine more valuable. So you need to track all grape from grape to the wine.
For their authenticity as far as the appellation is concerned.
Yeah, so the next step will be appellation, because in order to have an appellation and track all this production and all this value chain, you need to have a cadastre of wineries to see which kind of grape varieties you have, how much hectares in which region, etc. So this is one of the good projects the foundation is doing with the great team, as I mentioned.
To land more confidence in the consumer's mind that when they say the wine is coming from Baghdassarian, it's truly coming from there as opposed to someplace else.
Yeah, and a lot of things coming out of it, because as much as I visited different wine regions in the world, so this is kind of, even you can have the limitation of the tons or kilograms of grape to be produced. For example, we can have a limitation of 8 tons from the hectare in Baghdassarian, and you can have this appellation of the certain vineyards and control the quality, so which is very important. This is one of the great projects that they are doing. Also, you know that they are promoting Armenian winemaking through participation in different events. Also, they are inviting a lot of wine influencers, experts to Armenia, and then they, at their level, spread the word about Armenian winemaking in the world. So there's a lot of things to be done, and these are those things which come to my mind. But of course, there are much more projects they are trying to push.
Absolutely. I know they last year when I was in Armenia, there was the UN conference on wine tourism.
Yeah.
And she was again very active in that event, and it was a world event for wine tourism. There were a lot of people from all over the world, including United States, Europe, everywhere else. And it was a fantastic opportunity to showcase Armenia to the world. And I know Vine and Wine Foundation and Zara was very much involved in that.
Yeah, actually, and the other thing the foundation is doing is bringing together different winemakers to create a community. which every community in Armenia from different sector, they really see this as an example how those people from the same domain can support each other. And because, the quality of people in the winemaking industry is really high quality people, and it's not only a business. You cannot usually call it business. It's a way of life. It's a philosophy. And so those people are around the foundation and other organizations. They build like Wines of Armenia Foundation, for example. And they're they really support each other and become a showcase for our industries in order to follow the same logic and the same level of relationship. So this is another good thing which is happening around the foundation.
Okay, 2 points on that. One of the things that, and I talk about this all the time, is that either the foundation or maybe another agency within the government has to, besides the great work they do going over to world conferences, Pro Wine or Paris Wine or whatever it may be, have some events or some marketing done, let's say within the United States, to market Armenian wines. At the moment, the marketing of Armenian wine in the US, for example, is on the shoulders of importers like us.
Yeah. So because, I agree with you. For example, this event is financed by us, fully financed. So it's like a personal investment in this area. More effort should be done if we have U.S. as a target country for our export, and I see a lot of potential here. We're competing with the big winemaking countries.
I understand.
And of course, we have some niche in the market, but we need to fight against that, and we have everything to do that.
And
so
that's going to require more funding.
Yeah, sure. I mean, as far as this is our family business. We're trying to do something in our small scale and with our own investments. And really, when we have everything for that. I mean, we shouldn't invent a story about Armenian winemaking. And for me, that the technique of degustation, it's starting from eye, then when
Absolutely.
you see the color, then noise, do feel the smell, and then you feel the taste. For me, it's coming upper level from the brain level, so it's coming with the story, with the feeling, with the emotions. And we have the global overarching umbrella Armenian wine story, and every one of us has a small story about his own wine brand and his own wine production.
We're like a mosaic. We're filling up the spaces here. But I think the story is being written for us for the last 6,000 years.
Yeah, it's a story written by history.
Right. I mean, Armenian winemaking at least goes to 60. And I heard some kind of anecdote that the first thing Noe did was get off the ark, planted a vine.
We believe in that.
Right.
And actually, again, the story about our leaf. It was found in Armenia, and it's a fossil, and it has, according to archaeologists, it has 4 million years of history. So at that time, we have grape. And you see the imprinted this in the stone, and we're trying to develop this story further. But we have so much, millions of years, not only thousands. We are expecting some other figures from other countries. Still, we are on this level of
I'm sure there's a lot of give and take between Armenia's neighbors about who's got the oldest wine. Who's got the oldest wines anyway. But and the second point, to your second point, I know a lot of people like you, like other winery owners, they are truly dedicated to making the best wine possible. And these are people, this is their entire life. They've dedicated, they grew up in the vineyards. They started making wine when they were 5 years old, following their grandfather's footsteps. Yet, there are a lot of other people, I wouldn't say a lot, but many people who, for looking for legacy, who have made their money somewhere else. Now they start a vineyard. They start a winery. And on that point, do you think there's too much wine coming out of Armenia right now?
No, I guess. I mean, everyone should try, and we are waiting for new talents. So it's the quality, the quantity makes the quality, right? So the good thing is what This is possible to do in Armenia with like small investments, and you can try. You can try your own idea. You can, being in Armenia, this is a big opportunity to try to make your own products, being a wine or brandy or some other alcoholic products, because it's not very super expensive to start something. Also, a lot of people that are trying to start this with outsourcing, and on the way of that, trying to create their own product. So I think it's good. And the best thing could happen next, but the market will select the best ones. And of course, some new talents will come to this area. For example, now a lot of talents from, I don't know, engineering point of view, or from consulting point of view, from intellectual business point of view, let's say, they are choosing the IT sector. But a lot of other sectors are waiting for the same talents. So the absorption capacity of winemaking is also big, because there's a lot of emotions about, this is about your dreams, your, I don't know, personality, expression. It's kind of art, everything in the same bundle. So we expect new talents here. That's why we shouldn't close this for a small group of people. I guess in a lot of countries, this is not possible to start a wine business, right? So of course there are some risks.
Depending on the country,
yeah. Depends on the country, but I guess no. I guess to.
But at the same token, though, at the same time, do you still need to grow the consuming base, the customer base, and that's one thing that needs to happen in order for these wines to be discovered and let the market decide which is a good wine, which is not a good wine.
Yeah.
And you need more people to enjoy wine. And in Armenia, majority of the people who drink wine are younger people, right?
Yeah, because it's a new culture. And I agree, there's some distortion when a lot of new brands are coming to the market. People do not know what to choose, what to select. And there are a lot of good wines, and people are a bit confused, why we choose this one instead of the other one, right? So, and there's a big potential in Armenian domestic market, by the way, because there are a lot of hard alcohol still consumed in Armenia, like 10 times more than the wine.
Really,
imagine,
10 times more?
Yeah, and imagine
the vodka and the cognac.
Yeah, basically vodka. And if you transfer this wine alcohol into this absolute alcohol, as we say, you'll see the difference is much more, right? So there is a hard stuff going there. So there is a lot to do in internal market, and there's a big potential there. And the good things happening is that the consumption of wine and production of wine started at the same time. Restarted. Let's say the renaissance of Armenian winemaking and renaissance of culture of drinking wine happened at the same time. And because of a lot of things happening, because of the same wine academy, a lot of people with their experience come to Armenia from other countries, as you said, with some capital on board, and they bring new equipment, new culture, and this sequence of Armenian autochthon grape varieties, new approach, old traditions, these mixtures, at the end of the day, brings to this high quality wines. And yeah, there's a lot of potential in the country as well. So hopefully, like slow, it will grow. Because so far, as much as I know, like out of the world consumption, major chunk is going to the Armenian wine.
Okay. Well, the consumption is
in Armenia.
Domestically.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're seeing a growth there, correct? You're seeing a growth within Armenia.
Yeah.
And is the growth...
Not enough, but there is some trend.
Is the growth coming from bringing new people into the fold of wine drinkers, or is people are drinking more wine per capita?
Yeah, it's one of the cause and the results of it. But sometimes during the COVID period, it was recognized that people are not ordering much wine because they want to kind of show up. Some of them just show that we are sitting in the very cozy place, in the crowded place, and drinking wine. This is kind of a social status thing. But for example, in US, I see that people are really wine drinkers. They want to explore They have the wines they love. They have the regions they love. So I hopefully the quality of drinking will become higher, and it will not just because of this is good, this is fancy, but the recognized selection of wine. So you should try, and the thing which should happen in Armenia, the Armenians should try more and more wine, not only from Armenia. And if they like have the decision that they love Zara wines, they drink Zara wines. Otherwise, they will be very sensitive to different advertisements, etc., and just drink because it's a well-known name or something, right? So
right. But here's the thing, though, and I've talked about this to some winemakers, and I think consumers should do also that. Compare, as you just said, not only drink one particular brand of wine, but try different wine. The whole point of going to a wine bar is to try different wine which you're not familiar with, that you don't know about, whether that happens to come from Armenia or from Italy or from France or from Georgia. I don't care where it's coming from. As long as they learn, that way it validates their palate. Yeah. Yes, I like an RNE, but hey, that Cabernet Sauvignon or that Bordeaux tastes good also, or that Chianti tastes good also. It gives you more cultured palate. And I've talked about this to some of the winemakers in Armenia who only drink their own wine. And I find it puzzling that how can you make a world-class wine while you're only drinking your own wine? I find it puzzling, but I guess it's going to take a little more time. By the way, that same thing happens here in California. I know some people who only drink their own wine. They have no idea where the market is, where the taste buds are, what the competition is doing.
Yeah, it's kind of maybe a complex of ego or something. Right? So you in love, and sometimes you are in love with your project, right? If we are not talking about wine or about some startups or something, people are in love with their projects and they are like look like this, blind themselves. And here, of course, you need to learn, and there are a lot of good wines. And the other thing I don't love when people say the Armenian wine are the best wine, I don't know, our grape are the best grapes. No, we have the good place in the world, and we should respect the work others did and learn from them. We have a lot to learn, believe me. I mean, and also you need to understand the market demand. For example, in US, we see what, for example, this kind of Parker style wines are still like in a wild usage.
They should have told you when you tasted some other wines in New York. The common denominator is fruit forward, highly oaked.
The full body
wines. That's what the market wants. You give the market what the market wants.
Yeah, and I just second day I tried to go. We have booth only one day. The next day I tried to spend some time.
I'm glad you did.
Testing the wines. And to see where we are, and I love a lot of job done by other winemakers. I enjoy it, and I respect them. And if you want someone to respect you, you should respect them back, right?
Absolutely.
So, and then we have a lot, as I said, to learn. And now we are trying to also do collaboration with different winemakers within our brand. So the last thing, for example, we did is we invite one winemaker from Burgundy.
Okay.
And we're hearing his opinion about RNE, and we also have a lot of talks with some master of wines, etc. And what is still missing? They say we don't understand, for example, what is RNE to its full. So we try a lot of different RNEs, and still you are in the process of investigating, because when you talk about Cabernet, etc., you have some expectations. And this expectation of RNE is still in the process of evolution.
Right.
And the same is about Voskehat, about Khatun, about I don't know a lot of other different interesting varieties. And we need to have some common understanding and understand what this is the base, and these are the experiments. And now we are doing these experiments with cold maturation. We are trying to do minimum intervention, and we found a very old vineyards, 135 years plus.
Whereabouts?
It's in Aghavnadzor.
Okay.
And we are trying to do this experiment together with this winemaker. And so we also have some other experiences doing some collaborative projects with different winemakers from other countries in order to see from their point of view, what kind of potential Armenia has. Because this is our kind of painting and this is our approach, but there are a lot of other approaches. For example, with this way of doing the R&E, we have some interesting results at the end of the day. And let's see. I mean,
one of the interesting projects that you had, which I fell in love with, was your Voskanyan, which you had aged in French oak barrels.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a phenomenal wine, and what's his name already validates it for you. Suckling validated it for you. It's a beautiful wine. It reminds people of a slightly oaked Chardonnay, which it's not a Chardonnay, obviously, it's Voskanyan, but has a similar oak characteristic which people in the United States are familiar with.
Yeah. And you say you need to get your place in the market, but you should know the market, what
Absolutely.
People love in
That's
US.
why I'm so glad that you had a chance to taste a lot of other wines from California, from Europe, to see what people are doing and how they're being rewarded by higher scores.
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, as you said, you need to have your own palette, your own database. It's not only it's test emotions about, again, stories, how they are telling their stories, how they connect this with their country or their own family story, etc.
Right.
So everything is a lot of, like, there is no end of this. So you can explore it until end of your life, and then you say, I know
and
nothing.
That's the beauty of wine. That's the beauty. That's what I love about wine. It's something new every day. Every year there's a new vintage. No two vintages are alike, even made by the same winemaker. So that's the beauty of wine. There's so much to discover, so much to learn, so much to enjoy.
Yeah, and why I'm in love with winemaking, because it's the wine is covering, if you start again, covering all the palitra of colors, all the aromas and all the tastes you can feel in the world from other things, right? And on top of that, this is the way you can make intangible tangible. So for me, it's poetry, it's cuisine, it's art, and music.
Yes.
So when something inside of a creator, you can test my emotions, right? So that's magic.
And I'm grateful to those who make those amazing wines.
Yeah. And then you feel the emotions of the winemaker, of the grape grower. You imagine yourself, I don't know, in the vineyards. And the other cool things I love when, for example, when you understand that some people have your wine during their sessions, their birthday, weddings, and you're kind of a part of this positive thing happening in the world, being in Armenia, and someone in Belgium, in Germany, in Latvia, in US, I don't know, in other countries, they don't know you, but they test some piece of drop of Armenian sun, and weather and Armenian emotions. So this is really fantastic thing, and that's the thing I love most.
and history.
Yeah. That's,
a few weeks ago, it was one of my friends had brought a 1943 Barolo.
Oh.
And it was spectacular. Middle of the World War II, they managed to make some wine. And it survived to this day. It's just spectacular. You're drinking history. Things were happening. All the craziness, all the sadness, all the tragedy was happening during World War II. Yet this winemaker managed to make some wine.
Yeah, it's really unbelievable. Even when something is like pre-phylloxera, I don't know, brandies or something like that, and there's you for example, you may drink a wine which is produced before you birth.
Right. Oh yeah.
And this is another century. And during my life, I feel like I live like 10 different lives, because a lot of things are happening in Armenia and in the world, especially last years. And you cannot imagine. You try to imagine the environment. The winemaker is producing wine in 1914s, let's say, right?
Right.
And this is the different galaxy, different world, different environment. And you respect this. You're not just opening a bottle.
Right.
You try to touch the past. You're touching the past.
Speaking of that, I've had the opportunity to taste some slightly sweet fortified wines, Armenian wines.
Yeah, I know this.
Going back to the beginning of the 1910s, 1913s. They had preserved because they're fortified wines for one thing, but they were amazing.
I found a collection of Armenian labels, Soviet period, not only Soviet period. It's starting from 1905, pre-Soviet period. There is a guy who produced wine, and he has his own money. Oh. And it's the same name is written there. I'll show you after this interview. It's really crazy. And then it's a history of winemaking of Armenia, and then a lot of medals, a lot of like recognition in the Soviet, not only Soviet, in Europe, like Yugoslavia, etc. The way that the places when we had the right to present our wines, and I also respect those professors. Those like really people which it's not just started like 10 years ago. There's a lot of people did a lot of efforts during the Soviet period. Of course, we were well known more about this other types of wines, and not still wines. But again, you see what people are doing a lot of things. And when we started in 2012, Zara just finished her PhD and she spent 3 years. And every day she went to Eshmiadzin and to the lab. And the other magic I saw, me and my daughter, we joined her on Saturdays. And Karen Kazumian, he's the professor of Zara. He's doing some magic inside of the small lab. Wow. So I cannot explain it. It's kind of a movie when you enter the lab. If something is boiling, he give you something to test. And then his father was alive, who lead the champagne factory in Yerevan, and he's kind of sharing with you some ideas. And Zara is doing some things there because she. The main subject of her PhD was Armenian vermouths. And she tried all varieties of Armenian wines and like 100 types of Armenian herbs and fruit extracts. And imagine the mathematics, like how many varieties and you need to do in order to get these variations, to get like 30 type of different like addings into the wine and keep the wine smell there and wine test. And it was another magic. I just say it's a new world for me. And the people there, the quality of people, the level of conversations, the philosophy there. I mean, it's and those people live in the Soviet period, and they really proudly represent Armenian winemaking and Armenia, being a Soviet kind of the country. They really show the Armenia as a unique nation with this Armenian heritage and winemaking. So my respect to all of them.
Are there still some of those wines available? Can you find them on the market? Those older fortified wines?
There are some wines. Yeah, there are some wines available. People have them in their collections.
Are they available for sale?
Sometimes, but for the private collections rather than in the stores, right? Because
the next time I come to Armenia, I would like to get a couple of bottles to bring them with me, because they're really unique. It's a whole different world they were made in.
Yeah,
and they're just quite interesting.
Yeah, because it's a stereotype, and we just start the winemaking and nothing exists in the Soviet period. It's not like that. The matter is that the market was kind of divided, like generally from the center. Georgia is more like wine-producing country. We are more like cognac or brandy-producing country.
One of the policies of Soviet policies.
Yeah, but now I guess we can have some competitive advantage out of it because we are good in barrel making, which we used for brandy.
Oh, really? Okay.
We can be very unique making some barrels from Armenian wood in order to produce wine. And we have that potential. My red reserve is aged in Artsakhian oak, and I'm doing experience also with the French oak for whites basically, and for reds as well. So I guess this is another potential we may use for our reserve wines.
There is some discussion in Armenia, or also here as well, as to whether Armenia should only be growing indigenous Armenian varietals like the Armenian. We have over 300 varietals that I know that I've heard about.
Yeah, even
Or
500.
should we also be growing French or Italian varietals, which there's plenty of it going on right now, whether it's the Malbec, whether it's a Syrah, whether it's a Chardonnay or Pinot Noir. What are your thoughts on this?
So actually, from the long-term perspective, considering what the good lands for wine are limited, mostly we should explore Armenian varieties, but we shouldn't limit ourselves to try other things. But for example, if it's I don't know, the Vahagn Voskanyan, I don't know, Rind, etc. It's better to have mostly Armenian varieties because this is their homeland,
Right.
and the quality should be higher. For example, I know that there are some experience with Armenian varieties in US, in Russia, in
That's
other
very
countries.
limited, though.
Yeah, but in any case, I mean, me being in Armenia with the same level of intellect and physical capacities, I have some competitive advantage in Armenia. But here, there is someone the same capacities in America, and he grows in America. Like, he will have some advantage over me. But my answer, if I can start, mostly considering the limitations of Armenian good land for the grape varieties, mostly we should concentrate on Armenia, but we should try as well some foreign varieties, of course. And sometimes we may have some blends of those varieties in order to enter the market. Maybe those kind of marriages can give us a good result. Mm-hmm. So you shouldn't be very, limit yourself, because winemaking do not love limits, right?
Right. But some people claim that we have so many great varietals in Armenia. Let's cultivate those. Let's stick with those. Whereas the others say we'll give people. I mean, obviously, the Chardonnay that's grown in Armenia is not going to taste like Chardonnay grown in France or in Northern California here. So I get both sides, and I'm open to it as long as it's being made well.
Yeah,
That's the key.
I guess this 80-20 approach can be used here. I agree with you. There's a lot of interesting Armenian varieties not explored at the end.
Yes.
So this micro-vinification things should happen all the time. And there is a collection, of Armenian grape varieties, again, managed by the foundation. And some people are really looking for something new. And there's a lot of potential there. And I agree it should be, people should try to invest in those directions, because in the long run, it is our competitive advantage, and we should make it more powerful. I agree with you, but at the same time, do not limit ourselves to do the experiments, to try different varieties, etc. It's not like one against the other, right? So we should do both, but mostly concentrating ourselves in exploring the potential of Armenian varieties, because for foreigners, this is more interesting. So when you're visiting a country, for example, you are in France, you want to test French cuisine, right? You don't want to test Bulgarian something, or Italian something. Maybe sometimes, but at least
some people go to France and have McDonald's.
Yeah, it's also possible. Why not? That's their test. We cannot judge them. But at least if you are in France, you should explore, because there's a lot of things to explore there.
Right.
And of course, some experiments may be interesting, like a fusion kitchen there, etc. Because the winemaking is also that at least 9 months you are cooking something, and step by step you are doing that. This is a very complex, complicated project. One of the old guy in R&E, because we also trying to do some trainings for women grape growers in this area. And he said, I trying to compare the winemaking process with the birth of a kid. Both of them are around 9 months. So all this process, is very similar. Right. And it's a kind of philosophy which I love.
It's a new birth every year.
Yeah. And then you have only one try.
Right, absolutely, yeah, exactly.
And your life is enough for X number of tries.
Then we have to start all over again. You mentioned Vahagn, which is in southern Armenia. Where are some of the more newer regions that you see some potential in Armenia for growing good grapes, for making great wines?
I'm not a grape growing expert, but I think Taush is a good potential. and also the Aragats is very good. It's not a
Right, right.
new kind of area. It's already explored, but I guess and also with this climate change. So we are thinking because I'm from Lori, thinking about some Armenian varieties, maybe in Lori.
Well, I heard about Lori, northern Armenia, actually.
Yeah.
I heard about that there's it's an up-and-coming region in Lori.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Why not?
Are you from Lori originally?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. By the way, it's a beautiful part of Armenia that some people miss out on.
Yeah.
I had the last time I was there, I drove through Lori. Oh, spectacularly gorgeous. Beautiful, gorgeous valleys, mountains, rivers, beautiful.
Yeah, because in our village, actually, when I actually burned in the village, but we live in Armenia, but I spent 3 months each year there.
Okay.
Because my father's family is from there. There is no such fruits like peaches or apricots. But now people everything is changed. Mm-hmm. So maybe we should also explore not only Lori but other regions. Depends on these changes in the weather. Maybe we can explore some new places. Of course, originally it's better to use the area when it's the birthplace. But again, there's a lot of places to explore, especially with wine varieties. I guess there's a lot of potential, and there is a need of new white varieties. And also red varieties as well, because previously people are trying to mix all the reds, and when you say what kind of grape, you'll say red or white. And then we started the production with such a variety called Tigrani, which is actually a mix of Areni and Saperavi.
Is it?
Yeah, it's invented again by Soviet time. Grape growers.
It's creating a pretty nice wine.
Yeah, nice. If it was our bestseller, maybe we'll try it again.
You don't make it regularly?
Not now. We are now with Armenian and Voskanyan, but maybe if we find a good vineyard, because the problem was when we tried to find a good Tigrani, I will say this is Tigrani, and when we tried, no, I guess we have an expert in the lab, and
Tigrani is a hybrid of Areni and Saperavi.
Yeah, kind of the best reds in the region. And it names under the Tigran Petrosyan, our chess champion.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and there are a lot of other things done by Armenian scientists in the Soviet period. Ayvazyan and others, and there are a lot of different varieties now. Our winemakers are using them.
Very interesting. But there are other hybrids also in Armenia.
Charency, we also tried Charency.
But there are other hybrids also in Armenia.
Yeah.
That are created a while back, I guess, during the crazy Soviet times.
Yeah.
Where do you see Armenian wines 5 years from now, 15 years from now?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Actually, I see more...
and hold that thought, sorry. And what do you think it's going to take to get to those levels that you think you're going to get to?
My belief is that our heritage, the jewel, is our terroir and grape varieties, our land, our soil, our water, our sun. So if we don't have high quality grapes, we cannot make good wine. So we still need to spend a lot of time exploring the terroirs. What kind of soil, what kind of potential it has. And I believe we should put more efforts on this grape growing part and know the terroirs, grape varieties, etc., and then come to the winemaking. Because, being honest, of course, we have some good kind of things which can separate us from others, especially wines making caraces, and to try to recover also those traditions. And thanks God, there are some scientists trying to do a lot of things to figure it out. I guess these two things, right? So first, the grapes terroir, knowledge of terroir, and you need to promote not the brand, not the winery, but terroirs first of all. And then you should make a tour, people showing the terroir, because everything is changing, the producers are changing, etc. But the terroir is terroir forever, right? So then we need to explore it more, use it more, don't overuse it, try to do a good and responsible grape growing and have a good wine, good grape. Second, we need to explore this traditional methods of producing wine in Armenia, because there are a lot of history, a lot of things we can explore, and a lot of works done by scientists and there are a lot of things you can find in architecture, in religions, etc. In everything there's a lot of about Armenian grape and wine. So there's a lot of potential also to explore this, and I think the sequence of this can bring us to the really good results with which diversify ourselves and put us in the good position in the big world of winemaking.
And, excuse me, what role does ageability of our Armenian wines play in this process? And do we know how well these wines are going to age 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now? How are they going to taste? Do we know that yet?
Yeah,
but that's important in this process.
I agree 100%. Here, I guess scientists can have their role here, because it's a process happening in the bottle. So we have already 15 years old RNEs or white wines, basically red wines, and then they can predict the potential of aging of those wines, right? And again, working with the aging in barrels, and again making the good barrels with the right technology.
But before you put in the bottle, you got to make sure it's being made well before it goes into the bottle.
Agree. And also, as you said, of course, we have a lot to explore. We say what RNA has a good potential for aging, but still, we need to wait. We need to keep those boxes and open them later, or someone should open the one bottle a year at the same kind of vintage and see what's happening in the bottle. So
the evolution of the wine.
Yeah, I guess it could be done by scientists and present it to the world, because as you know, there's now a lot of other things going on about the origination of grapes, and this is done not only by Armenian scientists. And it comes out that a lot of varieties are born in this region, like this Armenia, Georgia, Anatolia, this Golden Triangle, and we are a part of this, right? So I guess again, scientists can make a lot of
predictions,
experiments, and answers. They can bring answers which we need to know 10 years after or 20 years after.
But you still, excuse me, nothing compares to actual time tested, whether it's an RNE or it's a Hachtanag or whichever other wine may be, mostly on the red side, you're saying, less on the whites, correct?
Yeah, because the aging, as much as I know, the potential of red wines are more for aging, and we need to explore it further. And it's good, but people are trying to use the variety and select one from the other. For example, the same Tozot. Again, usually they say this is the same RNE, or I don't know. We know Khaj Kharji, Voskyat, Khatun Kharji, a lot of different names. Now you know genetically which is the ancestors of the wines, and then it could give you an idea what kind of mixtures you can do. For example, for our last white, we do the Khatun and Voskehat mixed, and it's a good result.
Actually, I'm getting to like that blend, because Khatun is adding a little bit more acidity to it, which makes it more food friendly also, because it brings in the tropical notes of the Voskehat.
And the other brings the minerality and the terroir, and you know it's interesting mix of each other, and if they have the kind of same ancestor or they are the same kind of lines, and we have this big map of Armenian different grapes, and it helps you to give an idea, right? Some people may agree, may not, and sometimes they say no, there is no connection between those two varieties. Okay, I mean, the matter is what they have some similar things, similar terroirs, and similar tests, and they can merge each other.
Okay,
Blends can work.
No, I've tasted that blend. I like it a lot, actually.
Yeah.
You know, you have brought me a gift,
Yeah.
which I'm really thankful for. Thank you very much for doing this. Well, tell me about this, please.
Yeah, actually, you know, as I said, this is like our new concept. We call it One Leaf Story. And the idea came when we found this vineyard at Old Winds, and we again try to go back to the past of the Armenian winemaking grape growing traditions. And as I said, there's a lot of things, some heritage in architecture, religion, stories, tales, etc. And we got this from one of our friends as a present, and this is kind of the whatever we know about Armenian winemaking. So you see the cave, you see the noi you are telling about, you see the fox and some other like ornaments from Armenian churches. So we have all this in this leaf.
And this is a beautiful, done beautifully by artist named Gev Mart.
Yeah, Georg Martirosyan. Yeah, he's
okay.
Yeah,
very
he's
good. This is a grape leaf, obviously.
I love his work very much.
With beautiful design elements from all over Armenian wine history.
Yeah, and we also are planning to have a small book about like wine in architecture, grape in in the churches, ornaments, etc.
This is the, let me just show the camera here. It's beautifully done. And this is going to be the label for the wines?
Yeah, we are still working on it, but the wine is in the process of aging.
And this is made from 135-year-old Armenian vines.
Yeah, Armenian wines, and we use so-called cold maturation technique. And we also try to intervene. We have minimum interventions. Partially, we use like wall benches. We did everything manually, and we are kind of Zara is kind of satisfied with the results.
Any wood aging?
Yeah, we are aging in old, the 3 years old French barrels.
French oak.
Yeah, French oak.
Oh wow, it should be.
Yeah, we don't want like too much dominance of the barrels, and we want to make it elegant as we do. So
I'm salivating already.
Yeah, we call it. Like elegant wine with woman's touch, so we name it like
everything
that.
She does has a woman's touch.
Yeah, Zara is here around.
This is wonderful, which I really appreciate. Well, I'm looking forward to this now. Excuse me, I can't wait to try it.
Yeah,
and I really appreciate. Vahagn, thank you for coming today. I really appreciate it. Thank you for
inviting.
I learned a lot.
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed talking with you, and good to see you as always. And we'll get together again soon. But in the meantime, thanks for coming in. And remember, always drink the good stuff. Cheers, everybody.